He didn't just hit an RKO, he declared war, and if you blinked, you missed the exact second SmackDown snapped in half. One moment the crowd was breathing, the next moment Randy Orton was dropping bodies like gravity owed him a favor, and suddenly Trick Williams and Sami Zayn were laid out, staring at the lights, while the entire WWE Universe argued over one burning question: was this justified, or was this Randy Orton reminding everyone that mercy has never been part of his job description? Before we even break this down, answer this in the comments: was the first RKO shocking, or was the second one straight up disrespectful? No fence sitting, pick a side. Because what happened on SmackDown wasn't just an out-of-nowhere moment. It was calculated, it was violent, and it was Randy Orton sending a message so loud that even the locker room felt it. Let's rewind. The atmosphere on SmackDown felt tense before Orton even showed up. You could feel it in the crowd, the kind of uneasy buzz that usually means someone's about to get humbled. Trick Williams, riding that wave of confidence, that undeniable charisma, that NXT-bred swagger, was standing tall. And why wouldn't he? Trick has momentum, star power, and that dangerous belief that maybe, just maybe, he belongs in the same ring as legends. But here's the thing nobody tells you about legends. They don't care about your momentum, they don't care about your confidence, and they definitely don't care about your future. They care about now, and Randy Orton lives in the now. So when Trick Williams opened his mouth, whether it was confidence, bravado, or just bad timing, he unknowingly stepped into a history book written in vertebrae and canvas. Orton didn't need to shout, he didn't need to threaten. He just needed space. And the second Trick turned, RKO, not flashy, not dramatic, just devastating. The kind of RKO that doesn't ask for permission. The kind that cuts your sentence off mid-thought. The kind that reminds you that Randy Orton doesn't rise to moments collapse around him. Pause right here and tell me in the comments, did Trick Williams get caught slipping, or did Orton prove that experience always beats hype? Now here's where things go from shocking to infuriating. Because if that RKO was a statement, what came next was an insult. Sami Zayn, the heart, the conscience, the guy who never stays down because the fans won't let him. Sami didn't come out swinging. He didn't come out reckless. He came out like Sami always does, with emotion, with purpose, with that belief that maybe talking things out still matters in a business that stopped caring about talking years ago. And for half a second, it looked like maybe, just maybe, Orton was listening. That half second was all Sami got. RKO. Cleaner, colder, almost cruel. And here's the part nobody wants to admit: that second RKO felt worse than the first. Why? Because Trick Williams was ambition, Sami Zayn was heart, and Randy Orton crushed both without hesitation. So let me ask you something real simple: which RKO hit harder emotionally, Trick's or Sami's? Drop that answer below, because this is where the debate gets spicy. You see, this wasn't just about two RKOs. This was about Randy Orton reminding the WWE Universe who he is at his core. Not the smiling veteran, not the respected locker room leader, but the apex predator who thrives when chaos enters the ring. People forget that Orton doesn't need a championship to be dangerous. He doesn't need a storyline wrapped in gold. All he needs is a moment, and he'll turn it into a memory you can't erase. And Trick Williams just learned the hardest lesson of his career: competence without caution gets you folded. But let's not pretend Trick is the only one who walked away changed. Sami Zayn didn't just eat an RKO. He ate a reality check. Because Sami represents something very specific in WWE: hope. The idea that passion, grit, and perseverance can overcome cold calculation. And for years, Sami has been proof that heart can survive in a ruthless industry. But Randy Orton doesn't fight hope. He hunts it. Think about it: Sami didn't attack Orton. He didn't provoke him physically. He tried to reason with a man whose entire career has been built on ending conversations early. And that's why that RKO stung so much. Quick question: do you think Sami Zayn deserved that RKO, or was Orton completely out of line? I already know this comment section is about to explode. Now let's talk about what this really means moving forward. Because moments like this aren't accidents. WWE doesn't just let Randy Orton casually drop 2 stars for no reason. This was positioning. This was a chess move. This was Orton reminding everyone, fans, talent, management, that he is still a problem no one has solved. Trick Williams just got introduced to the main roster in the most brutal way possible. Not with a handshake, not with a match, but with an RKO that will live in highlight reels forever. And weirdly enough, that might be the best thing that ever happened to him. Because surviving an RKO from Randy Orton is like a rite of passage. It's pain, but it's also legitimacy. Trick didn't just get dropped, he got noticed. Answer this honestly: did that RKO elevate Trick Williams in your eyes, or did it expose him? As for Sami Zayn, this one cuts deeper. Sami has been here before. He's been betrayed, beaten, overlooked, and underestimated. But something about this felt different. This wasn't a betrayal. This wasn't a storyline twist. This was Orton saying, your moral compass doesn't work in my world. And that raises a terrifying possibility. What if Randy Orton isn't done? What if this wasn't about Trick or Sami specifically but about anyone who dares step into his orbit? Because when Orton starts stacking bodies, history tells us one thing: a bigger storm is coming. Remember, this is the same man who has derailed careers, rewritten legacies, and turned fan favorites into cautionary tales. And right now he looks calm, focused, dangerous. That should scare everyone. Another quick one for the comments: do you want to see Randy Orton feud with Trick Williams, Sami Zayn, or someone else entirely? Name your pick. Let's talk crowd reaction for a second, because it matters. The arena didn't just pop, it erupted. Half the crowd was furious. Half the crowd was losing their minds. That's when you know something worked. Because indifference is death in wrestling, and this was the opposite of indifference. People were yelling. People were arguing. Social media went nuclear within seconds. And that's the power of Randy Orton. He doesn't ask for your approval. He forces your reaction. And whether you loved it or hated it, you watched. You replayed it. You're still talking about it. That's not accidental. So here's the uncomfortable truth: Randy Orton was right. Not morally, not emotionally, but strategically. He reminded everyone that SmackDown isn't a feel-good playground. It's a battlefield. And if you're not ready to defend yourself at all times, you're already losing. Trick Williams learned that lesson in midair. Sami Zayn learned it while trusting the wrong man. And the rest of the locker room, they learned it watching. Final question before we wrap this chaos up: was this peak Randy Orton, or is something even darker coming next? Because if history tells us anything, it's this. When Randy Orton starts smiling less, when he starts talking less, when he starts striking faster, someone's about to have the worst night of their career. And SmackDown just became very, very dangerous. If this moment made you angry, shocked, or hyped, share this with another wrestling fan and see which side they're on. Because one thing's for sure, the Viper is awake, and nobody is safe. And here's where things get even more uncomfortable, because the silence after those RKOs said more than the impact itself. No music hit, no immediate retaliation, no heroic save, just Randy Orton standing over the wreckage like he'd done this 1,000 times before, because he has. That image matters, because in wrestling, the aftermath is where the real story begins. Trick Williams didn't roll out of the ring clutching his jaw in disbelief. He stayed down, and that visual alone should tell you how serious that RKO was. Not the highlight reel kind you laugh about later, the kind that makes you rethink every promo you've ever cut about calling out legends. Trick's confidence didn't vanish, but his invincibility did. And that's dangerous for someone as talented as him. Because now the question isn't, can Trick Williams hang on SmackDown? The question is, how does Trick respond when respect is taken by force? Drop this in the comments. Do you think Trick comes back smarter or more reckless after this? Now let's talk about Sami Zayn again, because some people are brushing this off like it was just another RKO. It wasn't. This hit Sami in a place deeper than his spine. Sami Zayn thrives on connection, with the fans, with the locker room, with the idea that wrestling can still be about heart. And Randy Orton just tore that idea in half right in front of him. You could see it in Sami's face before the RKO landed. That split second where he believed words still mattered. That hesitation? That was fatal. And if you're Sami Zayn, that kind of moment doesn't just fade, it festers. Because now Sami has to decide something very important. Does he stay the guy who believes, or does he become the guy who stops trusting? And history tells us when Sami Zayn stops trusting, things get dangerous in a whole different way. Be honest, do you want to see a darker, more aggressive Sami Zayn come out of this? Now zoom out for a second. This wasn't just about two men getting dropped. This was Randy Orton reshaping SmackDown's power dynamic in under 2 minutes. Because think about the message sent to the rest of the roster. If you're a rising star, you just learned that hype doesn't protect you. If you're a fan favorite, you just learned that goodwill doesn't save you. If you're a veteran, you just learned that respect doesn't slow Randy Orton down. That's terrifying. And the scariest part, Orton didn't look emotional. He didn't look angry. He looked comfortable. That's the version of Randy Orton nobody wants to deal with, the one who isn't acting on rage, but on instinct. Because rage burns out. Instinct doesn't. Quick comment check: is calm Randy Orton scarier than unhinged Randy Orton? I need to see where you stand on this. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Was this heel behavior? Because that's where the WWE Universe is split right now. Some fans are saying Orton crossed a line. Others are saying he did exactly what legends are supposed to do: protect their territory. And here's the uncomfortable truth: both sides are right. Orton didn't cheat. He didn't ambush from behind with a weapon. He didn't run. He struck. That's what predators do. But that doesn't make it easy to swallow, especially when Sami Zayn is the one paying the price. And if WWE history has taught us anything, it's this: when the fans start arguing this hard, a massive storyline is brewing. Because you don't give Randy Orton moments like this unless you're building towards something explosive. So what's next? Is this the start of a Randy Orton rampage where no one is safe? Is Trick Williams about to get the biggest feud of his career way earlier than expected? Is Sami Zayn about to snap and chase Orton with a desperation we haven't seen in years? Tell me straight, which direction do you think WWE should go with this? Because all three paths lead to chaos. And chaos is where Randy Orton thrives. Let's not ignore the symbolism either. Trick Williams represents the future. Sami Zayn represents the soul. Randy Orton just took both down in one night. That's not subtle. That's a statement. It's Orton saying this place still belongs to me. And whether you like that or not, he's earned the right to say it. But here's the thing about statements in WWE. They demand responses. And the responses are coming. Trick Williams isn't the type to back down. That RKO didn't embarrass him, it baptized him. And how he reacts will define whether he's a flash of hype or a real main event threat. Sami Zayn. He's too proud, too emotional, too stubborn to let this slide. And if history repeats itself, Sami doesn't forget moments like this, he builds wars out of them. Meanwhile, Randy Orton, he's already moved on. That's the coldest part. Because while fans are debating, while Trick is healing, while Sami is questioning everything, Orton is already hunting his next moment. Final question: who do you think is next on Randy Orton's RKO list? Because if SmackDown taught us anything that night, it's this. You don't have to be in a match. You don't have to be a rival. You just have to be there. And when the Viper strikes, explanations come later if they come at all. Share this with a wrestling fan who's still arguing about that second RKO. Drop your takes in the comments. And buckle up. Because if this was just the beginning, SmackDown is about to get ruthless.